Welcome to Story Time with Aunt Sunny. I love stories, and until there were television and DVRs, stories were the way people were entertained. Late at night, out west, the cowboys would tell stories around the fire. The people in Europe, under the desert night sky, in the Arab countries, in Africa, stories are an ancient thing. So I have delighted to find some books at the library that some of them are some old stories called Solomon and the Ant, and I'm going to read a couple of those. So therefore the old lady Costco glasses that can help with that. So our first story, it's always kind of nice to put yourself in the story. So I share that, and that's whether you want to or not. But this first story has to do with King Solomon. Of course, in the Bible, he's one of the wisest kings ever because he asked for wisdom. So this one has King Solomon in it. And the name of this story is The Smell of Money. And this has a girl in it, Hannah. Now I could put my daughter Ellery in this and say that Ellery earned money for her family, but Ellery didn't live back when Solomon was king. So we're going to put Hannah back in the story. Hannah earned money for her family by making brooms. Do you know how to make a broom? She gathered long, stiff grass into a bundle, tied the bundle to the end of a long stick to make a broom. Do you know, my grandmother used to use for a toothbrush a willow stem, and she would make the ends of that willow really flare out, and she'd clean her teeth. Make sure you're cleaning your teeth, because you have toothbrushes that you can, buy a new one every 3 months. But Hannah, she's not doing toothbrushes. She's doing brooms. And she carried her brooms when she made them to the marketplace. And she stood there all day selling them. And she collected quite a few coins. In fact, she had been smelling some delicious bread. And at the end of her day, as she was walking home, she passed the bakery. Oh, she thought, maybe I should spend 1 coin on something tasty. Oh, that'd be my temptation. And then she decided, no, my family needs the money. I'm just going to enjoy the smells and be on my way. Wow, that's pretty smart. So Hannah stood outside the bakery door and she smelled the freshly baked bread, the warm honey cake, and the sweet almond cookies. The baker saw her at the door and he grew suspicious. "What are you doing?" he asked her. "I'm smelling your delicious breads and cake," she answered. "It's almost as good as eating it." "Smelling my breads and cakes? You're going to have to pay for that." And he tried to grab her sack of coins. Don't be a grabber. It's not a good thing. "But I didn't eat anything," she cried. "I didn't eat them. I just smelled them." Everyone in the market, they came running. Would you be interested in that? Back then, everybody wanted to know everybody's business. They came rushing, and when they heard her story, some said the baker should be paid, and others said the girl owed nothing. They argued more and more. I mean, people were getting really upset until someone shouted, "We need to ask King Solomon." So they took Hannah and the baker to King Solomon, the wisest king of all. And Solomon was sitting on his, where do you see sitting? On a throne, not a sofa. "Speak," he said, "I will listen and I will judge." Ooh, that's what made him so wise. He listened. The baker pointed his finger at Hannah and said, "That girl has to pay for what she took. I worked all day to make that bread and cake and cookies, and she stood at my door and she smelled it all. And it filled her with pleasure. She even admitted that it was practically as good as eating it." "I should not have to pay," said Hannah. "The smell of food was floating on the air. I only breathe the air. Do I have to pay to breathe?" "Baker," said Solomon, "do you care so much about money that you want to be paid even for the air around you?" And the baker answered, "The law says that you must pay if you make something and take something that someone's made. She took the smells of the food that I made, so she must pay." "That's the law," said Solomon. "The young woman must pay for what she took." Everyone in the crowd looked at each other in surprise. Are you surprised? "Young woman," said King Solomon, "take out your money." So she did. Now I want you to shake it. And she did. She shook it once, twice, 3 times. "Did you hear that?" Solomon said to the baker. "And now she's paid you." "What do you mean?" he asked. "She has paid for the smell of your breads and cakes with the sound of her money." And Hannah shook the coins again, and everyone else shook with laughter. Isn't that a great story? There's many versions of the story. Depends on where it's told. It says that there are some others, and they're called "The Cost of Meat." That would be in Morocco. In Iraq, "The Tale of a Cook and a Passerby." In Yemen, it's "The Beautiful Maiden and the 3 Princes." I don't know how that goes. I don't know how that worked out. But anyway, this is just a wonderful book that's compiled a bunch of stories. And so that one is called, in this story, this version, "The Smell of Money."